This is an original architectural rendering done in Adobe Photoshop, and the design is an original of my student, Sebastian Bravo. So I'm going to show you his entire process, how he created this design simply by building with blocks and photographing his work, and then bringing his original photo into Adobe Photoshop for rendering. All right, so I'm going to go to Photoshop. And I'm going to do File Open, and I'm opening up this block city photograph that one of my students took. And now I need to rotate it. So I'm going to do image rotation 90 degrees clockwise. All right, now. So I have the image rotation, it's 90 degrees clockwise, and now I need to create a drawing from this. So the first thing that I have to do, and it's very important that I do this, and if I don't do it, then I've officially messed up, is I need to create a new layer. Layer, new layer. If you accidentally messed up and you did not create a new layer, everything you did from here on at this point would be useless. So make sure you create a new layer. Now I'm going to change the opacity on the bottom layer to about this so that I can actually see. And I'm going to need to make a new layer that goes underneath it. But that layer on the bottom has to be filled with white. So I go Edit, Fill, White. So there's a drop down and you can pick different things. In this case, I picked white. Okay. So I hit OK. And now, even though the opacity is lower, I don't get that checkerboard from the transparency. So now it's very late. And now I can draw in the top layer. I do not want to accidentally mess up and draw in the middle layer. So let me make sure to lock the middle layer, and I have to draw in the top layer. Now, I don't necessarily want all of this. Maybe I just want to draw a certain part of the image. So I'm going to use my rectangular marquee, and I'm going to just crop out a specific section that I want to draw. So I really like this column here, this building there, and this sphere there. That's what I want to include in my drawing. So I'm going to go here, and what the heck, let's also include the car. All right. So, and then I'm going to go Image, Crop, and now I just have this. So I'm going to start just drawing right on top of this, and I'm going to show you some tricks. First off, I'm going to use my brush tool, and I'm going to make sure that my foreground color is black. Okay, so, and now I'm going to look at my brush, and I need to make sure that it's 100% hardness, and I'm going to make it small, not tiny, but small. Let's see, maybe, I don't know, 15 pixels across should do it. Okay. All right, now I'm going to start here, and I'm going to make a black dot. Remember, I'm in the top layer, not the middle layer. If you accidentally mess up and you're in the middle layer, you'll know because it'll look gray and not black, and that'll tip you off that you're actually in a layer where you dim the opacity. Now I'm going to go down here, and I need to make another dot, and I'm going to connect them by holding down the Shift key, and that is going to make a straight line. And anytime I hold the Shift key, I can connect any two dots, and they will connect with a straight line. Now this is a nice thing because it will sort of inform your drawing in a way that just trying to draw it wouldn't. You might not realize that not every line goes a certain way, but when you trace over it, you do. So Again, I'm using my mouse for this, not the drawing tablet. And the nice thing about using the mouse for this is that instead of drawing a straight line, which might be limited to vertical or horizontal, when I connect two dots with a straight line, it can go in any direction. So again, click, shift, click, while holding the shift key. So click, now I hold the shift key, now I make my second click. Now that's wrong, so I've got to do Command Z. Yeah, anytime you mess up, just do Command Z and it'll undo your last step. You don't have to erase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually zoom in and I want to erase something. It's really not following the lines. So I take my eraser, which I'm going to make all the way hard as well, but I'm going to actually increase its size a little bit. And I'm going to take my eraser and I go to the beginning of where I want to erase, hold the shift key, and then go to the end of where I want to erase. So in other words, you can also use that same technique to erase in a straight line. So that's really nice. You can see that if you use this magnifying glass here, with the plus sign, that it gets bigger, and with the minus sign, it gets smaller. Um, and the nice thing about zooming in is that your line tracing is going to be a lot more accurate. Zoom out. And now every once in a while, I'm going to hide this layer to see what's going on. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is that you might have open areas, and you do want to close them. So I'm not going to continue this because it's going to be the same exact um, activity over and over again now that you get how to do it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you how you make a curve like this, and then you're going to do something called rasterizing it. So I want to make a curve. So I need to go to my shape tool. So this is my shape tool, and I'm going to go to the ellipse, okay? Now, the thing about the ellipse is that if I hold the shift key, it will make a perfect circle, okay? If I don't hold the shift key, it'll make an ellipse. The fill on this is black, and I don't want it to have any fill at all. I want it to be empty. So I go to this slashed line, and that means empty. The stroke says it's 4.43 pixels. That's fine. Maybe I can make it even a little tiny bit bigger. Okay, that's fine. And now, if I hold the Alt key, or on a Mac, the Option key, it should grow out from the middle. So, you get the color black, and I'm in the shape tool. And you see how the minute I held down the Alt key, or on a Mac, the Option key, it grew out from the middle. All right, so I'm going to create this shape, and you can see that the line needs to be a little tiny bit thicker. So I'm going to make the line like maybe 12 pixels. Let's see if that's good. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. All right, so maybe I'll make it 15. Okay, now, those are the properties. And now what I'm going to do is edit, transform. Let me just get rid of the properties for now. I'm going to do transform path, and I'm going to do scale. So that's going to allow me to make it bigger. But if I hold the shift key down, it'll also allow me to stretch it. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the shift key down and I'm actually stretching out um, I'm stretching out the shape. Okay. Now I'm going to hit the check mark and I'm going to do something called rasterizing it. So I right click and I'm going to rasterize the layer and it stops being a vector shape, which means, okay, so what a vector shape is if you imagine an X and a Y grid with points on a graph that map out a shape, like you must have done at some point in like geometry class. A vector shape is made up of mathematical points on a graph. Because of that, you can take a vector shape and make it very, very, very large, and it won't pixelate because it's not made out of pixels. It's made out of points on a graph. When you rasterize it, you turn it into something that's made of pixels. And that can be very useful because you can erase. You can't erase a vector shape the way that you can erase a something that's made of pixels. So here I am. I'm in the eraser tool and I'm going to just start erasing parts of it, which is something I couldn't have done until I rasterized it. There are also limits on the way that you can distort or stretch a rasterized shape. There's more limitations. There's fewer if you've got a shape that's made out of pixels than if you have a vector shape. So vector shapes are good up to a point, but then sometimes in order to manipulate them, you need a rasterized shape. So um, I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to do layer, duplicate layer. And then I'm going to do edit, transform, flip vertical. And I'm going to move this down here. And you can see it doesn't fit this, but it's in its own layer. So that means that I can do edit, transform, distort. So when you distort something, you can change the angle. Okay, so I'm going to hit the check mark. And now I'm going to do a little bit of erasing. And then I would probably connect this and that with a straight line. So let me go back to my brush tool. So is it perfect? No, let me just Control Z, Control Z. Let's try that again. All right, so now the only issue with this shape is that it's in two different layers. So if I tried to fill it, it would just fill the whole background because it's not a closed shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do right click, merge down. So that's how you trace the lines. Um, I'm going to just see if I can show you the next logical step in this by showing you the work of a student. So let me just stop sharing and I will come back once I found the student's work. All right, so if I go back to Photoshop, and now I'm going to open up Sebastian's work. Okay, so this is the work of a student of mine called Sebastian Bravo, um, and I'm going to show you what the natural extension of this assignment is. So let me show you. Here we go. This top layer is the lines. This second layer is the shading. This third layer is the shadow. And layer 1 is where he has this horizon line and these vanishing points. So you can see the different aspects of his work. Now, the one question is, once he designed this beautiful thing, where did he get his colors from? And I'm going to show you real quick. Okay, so here's his building. He built this building out of blocks. Okay, if I unlock it and I change the opacity back to 100%, you can see that it's in color. But how did he get the grays, the midtones, the light colors in order to shade his work when he was done designing it? Well, what he did was he did image adjustments, black and white. Then he used the foreground color here. There it is. Used his brush and got a swatch of this color. Then he went to the foreground color again, changed it to this color, went back to the brush and got a swatch of this color. And he did that for the shadows as well. So this is the darkest shadow. We kind of had a map of which areas were what color. Then he was able to just use the lasso edit copy, select deselect, hide this layer, unhide this layer, edit paste, and now he has these as a reference. And anytime he wants to color something, all he has to do is click on this swatch, pick up that color, get his paint bucket fill, or what I would do instead is possibly use the magic wand to select an area and fill it with that color. So the other thing that you can do that he did is he actually put the color on the layer below the lines. So the lines are here, but the color is here. And what this does is it makes for a much cleaner, neater coloring. So I've selected here, right? But I'm going to add another layer. Layer, new layer. I'm going to put it underneath here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is after I'm done selecting here, I'm going to click into that new layer. Then I'm going to do select, modify, expand, and I'm going to expand it by 2 pixels. And then I'm going to do, I'm going to switch the foreground color to the color that I need. And then I'm going to do edit fill, foreground color. And then I'm going to do select deselect. And because, so what happened was I selected inside the lines, but I don't necessarily want to color inside the lines because that might leave a little kind of white gap that will look sloppy. So what I did instead was I did select modify expand, select modify expand, and then once I've expanded it by 2 pixels, I switch to the layer below. So the color's in one layer and the house is in another. So you can look over here and it's very ingenious. He's got everything mapped out. He's got all the colors he needs, etc. So what is this? What is layer 3 with the effects and the color overlay? Let's look at that. So layer 3 is he actually took the house and he was able to duplicate the 2 layers. Let me show you here. So he has this house and he duplicated the layer of the house and then he distorted it and flattened it. So let me just see if I can show you what he did. I don't want to, I'm going to hide this layer just to show you how he made the shadow. Okay, so he took this and this, the color and the house, okay, and he did layer, duplicate layers, okay, and we're going to call this, okay, so now we got the copy, okay, so we're going to take the copy, these 2 copies, and we're going to merge them, right click, merge down. In order for us to merge these, it's not saying merge down as one of the options. So I'm going to just hide all the other layers, and these 2 are the only ones showing, and now I'm going to do merge visible. So now this is one layer, okay? So this is the house lines, this is the house color, and this is the copy of both of them. And I'm going to pull it underneath. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to do a color overlay. Layer, layer style, color overlay. And the color that I've picked is black. So now, underneath the house is a black shadow of the house. Now, if I take that layer and I do edit, transform, distort. And now I can just use my move tool. It has to go underneath the house, but it has to look like it's coming from the house. So I might need to distort it farther. Edit, transform, skew. There we go. And now it looks like a shadow emanating from the house. So you can see the whole process that Sebastian used to create this magnificent house. This is his completely original design. He created it using blocks, and then he used a specific process to create an architectural rendering. It's quite ingenious, that the method that he used. Sebastian is planning to become an architect, and I've been very impressed with the way he's been developing his portfolio. So I just wanted to show you his process so that you could learn from it.